Hello and welcome to Blueprint Radio, a guide to fitness, health, and wealth brought to you by Mass Mutual Miami, where your financial health is our number one priority. And I am Karen Garcia, your host, here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Scott Kjelson.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And celebrity fitness enthusiast, Tony Thomas.
How you doing?
And I want to remind our listeners and viewers alike that our goal is simple, and it is to educate, enlighten, and hopefully entertain in the process on how improving fitness, health, and wealth, can improve your overall success.
All right, well, today's theme is early planning. Early planning, for me, starts in the childhood. With childhood obesity on the rise, we have to find ways to get our children more active earlier. And we start by doing that with discipline and incorporating fun at the same time. There are a lot of different fun programs out there like the NFL Play 60, also Beat the Gym, that promote doing 60 minutes of activity. 60 minutes of activity a day can help a child tremendously. One of the things that we have to focus on getting them out of is video games, things that keep them indoors. We should have some disciplinary actions where we limit the time that they can spend on the computer and on their phones and all these electronic technologies. Take them out of that element for an hour where they have to do it per week so they can actually become better in that active lifestyle.
Well, I remember when I was younger, and I mean, pretty young, but it wasn't that long ago that I was climbing trees and running around. I mean, I know this is terrible, but I was catching tadpoles and stuff like that. But the idea was I was outside, I was active, and really even when I was younger, being obese wasn't a concept that we were used to hearing about when we were children. Now children are, worried about what's in their food and stuff like that. A lot of allergies. How crazy is that? Right. But there is, yes, I will say, homework is way more intense than it used to be.
True.
Ideally, there is a lot more technology involved in the households, but you're right. I feel it does take the parents and also other customizations in that model to say, no, you cannot use the technology and sit on the computer and play games all night.
And as a parent myself, I think I'm the only parent on this group, right? I will tell you.
Hopefully.
We think, right?
Yeah,
we hope.
yeah.
I'm kidding. So as a parent, the one thing I can tell you, in our defense as parents, is that it is difficult. In other words, it requires a choice. I do it, but it is easier to throw a video in front of your kid and have them be babysat while you run around and do a million things after you get home from an exhausting day at the office. It takes energy to say, no, we're actually going to play with your 3-year-old toddler. But the feeling you get when you're done is, A, they're healthier, you're healthier, and it's just so much more fulfilling for the relationship,
and it's important because you got to incorporate, like you said, I'm sure you're aware of this. When you punish, when they do well, what do? You do positive reinforcement. I mean, positive reinforcement for applying active lifestyle is just as important as positive reinforcement when they do something well in school.
That's true.
I think there has to be a balance, and that balance has to be equal because they don't understand that. A lot of times they say, well, we went out and we played and we got, I did a class in gym and nobody really says, okay, good job, or add some positive reinforcement to that. But they really need to hey, good job, I'm glad you got out there. You're taking care of your body, taking care of your temple. That's stuff that they need to hear. Wow, I got positive reinforcement for that. I want to do that more, twice as much on a day-to-day basis.
And and you could, Karen, you can key in on this, but what do you think about parents taking away sports or activities? Like, for instance, when I was younger, my mom used to say, well, if you're not doing good in school, or, oh, you want to go out all night and not contact us, well, we're going to take away football. And I was always like, I'm not a gang. I'm not in the gang. I'm not out here doing these terrible things. Right. I'm going to practice. I'm getting the discipline. So do you think that that's a positive reinforcement in that concept?
I mean, as a parent, and I'm not a parent, you're putting me on the spot. My kid is only 3 years old. However, I still have a long way to go. However, I will tell you, I'm not sure that's what I would take away. I would take away TV time. I would take away laptop time. I would take away those things that are not necessary.
Exactly.
And sports are necessary.
Exactly.
And especially if you're in a team, what you're doing is you're hurting the team. And that's showing them, I think, the counter effect that you want to have. Responsibility. You're on a team, you better show up, practice, and be good.
Yeah, that's showing the eye.
Exactly.
Right? That's
yeah, the eye instead of the way. Exactly.
And going back into parenting and so forth, I think it's so vital for the I'll get back to it, but the custom of having dessert after dinner. It's so crazy to me that this when I was younger, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And I see kids now, they're eating high carb foods, they're eating high sugars, and then they're going to bed and expecting to get up the next day and focus in school. How do you expect that when we go back to the same concept? Is you're not getting productive sleep when you're eating like that. You're not getting the nutrients that you need by, you have this great dinner and then you terrible snack, and then what happens is you start to create bad habits. So that correlates back to what we were just talking about, and I think it comes. I believe this, and maybe again we'll go back to last week where we're getting hate mail for some things, but I think that it comes from parenting, and that's the early concept for us.
It's funny that you said that, because when I was younger, I don't know how this happened to me now, but I used to be so into candy, and it was
Really?
Well, my sister
You have
was
beautiful
a
teeth.
hustler. She used to hustle candy on the back of the bus, and I would, get these, all different assortments of candy from her, and that's how I developed that bad habit. But now, as an adult, like me and candy, I'm not really.
You
into
don't have
it.
that
I don't have the
relationship
urge
anymore. No.
So it just takes time to build those habits and build good habits, and as you build those good habits, you start to see the positive come from it.
Fantastic. Well, I want to take this and say, so we're talking about all these things we can do for our children, right? Early in life to sort of prevent the obesity and prevent the long-term, maybe chronic illnesses, right? I think one of the things that are, it's a little bit separate from this, but let's talk about those parents that are maybe dealing with children that are already unfortunately disabled. And I want to speak specifically about autism. And I know it sounds like we're just kind of going 180 degrees.
It's all correlated.
But it is correlated, right? I know that food has a great impact on a woman's body when she's pregnant, is what I've learned and studied. I'm not saying it directly causes anything, but it has been known.
No, it directly.
It does?
I totally agree that it does. So
okay, well, there you go,
You're not
Doc.
talking out of text. So.
Okay, fantastic. So I want to talk a little bit about the financial burden that living with a disabled child can have. And a lot of people don't realize it's not just the emotional burden and all the things that you have to now educate yourself on, whether it's nutrition, whether it's
what to eat, how to eat.
Exactly, yeah. All that stuff. Imagine a lot of things, the blind spot that people don't think about is, so as a mom, I have an autistic child, and now I have a full-time job, and now I have another full-time job, which is doing what's right for my child, which is very different maybe from what's right for my first child without autism. So that might take me away from work. That's a loss of productivity, a loss of income. That's also specialty schooling. A lot of times the private schools that cater towards the kids with this cost a lot of money. Another thing is special activities. Therapies. You were mentioning to me before about ABA therapy, and how that can be how much a year approximately?
It's about $37,000 a year at minimum, and a lot of these kids need more focus and time with their therapist than that. So, really, are you doing the job when you're and do you have the money?
And imagine the guilt that is associated with being that parent and knowing there is something out there that can help my child, and yet I cannot afford to do it. And so the reason I bring this up is I think planning. We're talking about early planning. This is something you need to do even before you have a child. Start thinking about the what ifs. Yeah, we're talking retirement. Yeah, we're talking all these great things, but special needs planning is huge. So God forbid some of you out there listening or watching us do have a child or a family member or a friend with a special need in your family. I highly encourage you to go to someone really focused in the special needs planning. There are things we can do to help plan for this, not just for today, for the short-term needs, but also for the long-term needs. As a mom, one of my biggest fears is, God forbid, my son had autism or something like Down syndrome. What would happen to my child once I'm gone? Well, we can at least plan for that if you do it early enough. You sit with a good estate planner. Maybe you do a special needs trust. There's a lot to that.
Well, and one thing that you and I spoke about in our conversation yesterday was, if, let's say, you put your money into a plan of action for this specific situation. Let's say who knows what's going to happen? We're healthy individuals,
Right.
We're going to have a kid, but we want to do it just in case. Can you transfer that money? Let's say it doesn't go towards a special need. Can you transfer that to a college fund?
Absolutely. That's such a great question.
Good job. That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Took it right out of my mouth. I'm glad you asked.
We
that.
saw eye to eye.
Oh, wow.
The only
something's
time ever.
Okay, what you just asked.
That was a short joke, by the way.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Ooh, over my head. All right. So what I want to say is the answer is yes, if you plan properly. And what I mean by properly is strategically allocated with flexibility in your plan, then yes, you can move your money around. And that's why you always need to work with a good advisor and make sure you have mobility and flexibility in your plan. So there is a way, for example, to take money that maybe was earmarked towards a college fund and move it to special needs versus, hey, I had it there just in case and now I need it for college, or now I need it for my retirement because my kid got a scholarship, or I didn't have a child. Now what do I do with this money? Yeah. So if you plan properly with the right professionals, there are ways to keep that money moving, fluid, and efficient.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, this planning segment was brought to you by Genomic, improving your quality of life through personalized testing.
And we're back here with a very special guest, Dr. Marcus Fulmer. He's our clinical specialist focusing on children's health. He's actually a partner of mine in Genomic. So I'm glad to have you here, and I think we all are glad to have you here.
So glad, Dr. Fulmer.
Yeah, she was being very sarcastic. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean it. I mean, he's a great guy.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. I love you guys too.
I love it.
So we were just speaking about early preparation and preparedness and so forth. Early development, especially with the fitness. And I didn't want to tease too much into your subject. So
Right.
I wanted to see if you can chime in on what we were speaking about. We're speaking about how important it is for women especially, and relationships, period, men and women, to influence that atmosphere, as well as we'll get a little bit into epigenetics, but also the preparation in the sense of fitness, nutrition, and financials. So can you get a little bit into what you do and a little background on you?
Right. So my main focus is children's health. It's very passionate to me. Growing up, let's just say, as far as eating goes, my family didn't have the best knowledge for that. We didn't know about good nutrition. We ate horribly, to say the least.
You liked candy like Tony did?
Right. Candy all day, carbs, pasta all day.
Wow.
Just horrible. And so later on in my life, when I moved away from them, I learned the value of nutrition. My uncle had me eating vegetables and fruits all day, healthy chicken, and it basically changed my life. I used to be overweight, and now, as you guys can see, I'm tall and lean today.
Fit.
Right, so it's very important to me. I try to preach, start young, teach them the right habits young, because it's going to stay with them when they get older.
Can I just add something? He mentioned something that I think is pretty near and dear to my heart. One of the things I noticed is in my family, not to call anybody out, but again, I was raised a good Cuban, which means rice, beans, maduros, if you guys know what that is the sweet fried plantains, and everything fried and battered, etc. And so I went away as well and sort of discovered by a process of elimination, because I just wasn't feeling healthy, what good eating was. And when I came back home, I noticed a little bit of pushback,
Right.
almost a little like some of my family members were like, well, you think you're better than us because, you know something? And I'm not calling anyone out in specific, but it kind of hurt me. So I noticed almost being apologetic for my eating and maybe pretending sometimes at the dinner table to just want to pig out on the greasy food. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but I really didn't want to eat that way all the time.
Well, that happens even as an adult. I mean, it's not just children. When the hype wasn't there about nutrition, and let's say I would go out and I'd say, well, I want a mushroom burger, and they would look at me like,
yeah.
what are you, Mario and Luigi over here? Like, calm down, like we're eating hamburgers. And I think it's just waiting for that hype. So it is, it takes people a little bit longer to understand how to eat healthier, live longer. But I think it does come with preparedness and education. I think that's a huge factor.
How hard do you see it, like getting parents on board to actually get these kids on programs for personalized nutrition? Because I know that as a parent, sometimes it's just so much going on in their world that they can't find time to, set up a program like that and actually have their kids follow it, because everything is so
hectic in their lives. I mean, the most important thing for a parent to do is to lead by example. You can't tell your children to eat healthy when you're eating like crap, eating pizza in front of them.
That's right.
So if you eat healthy, your children's going to follow, as well as being active. Like at least put them in sports or something young.
Right.
And you have to do the same thing. You can't be sitting on the computer all day and tell your child to work out if you don't do it yourself.
My dad, I love you, Daddy, if you're listening. He used to say, do what I say, not what I do.
Oh, wow.
And, I know he meant well, but that's not at all I think as a parent myself to a 3-year-old, I always think, wow, am I doing what I want my child to do? My dad was a smoker and still is a smoker, and thank God my mom wasn't. So apparently I took on her habits more than my dad's. But I think of myself sometimes, and I'll go into the fridge and I just want to grab, a little, ice cream or something because I'm having that sweet craving. But then I don't realize my little 3-year-old's a sponge. So then after dinner, he's like, Mama, can I have Dada's ice cream? And I'm like, oh, he saw me. And I'm like hiding from my 3-year-old. So it's pretty amazing. You're right. It's like the example is.
Well, I will say you turned out well.
Thank you. That's another therapist session.
Well, you spoke a little bit about the autism earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You had an amazing statistic. You mind just...
Right. So the prevalence of autism has spiked in the last couple of decades. So more children now have autism than cancer, AIDS, and I'm sorry, what was the other one?
Is it heart disease?
And AIDS.
Oh, and AIDS.
AIDS combined.
So more than
Okay.
cancer and AIDS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Right.
So Dr. Fulmer, what can we do? Not just as parents, but maybe as I know, Tony, out there, you've got your nephews with you, right?
Yes,
Three
yes.
handsome, beautiful guys. You love them, I'm sure. Just because you don't have
Absolutely.
any kids doesn't mean you don't want the best for them. What can we do to educate them and to help them?
Well, they all ran from the beach. About
That's
30
what you
miles.
did?
'Cause that's,
Oh, yeah, that's
who
how I
he
have
is.
them doing it.
Ron.
And I was like, get in the car? No.
Well,
Get on the
as
road.
as being older, we're not old, we're by any means, me and Tony, but we know, like, when you're young, you think you're invincible. So at least that's what I thought.
Right.
But then I found out as I got into my 30s, sorry to say, you can't just eat whatever you want to eat because it affects your body, it affects your recovery. When I eat healthy before an event, I feel great afterwards. When I eat pizza before say I go play basketball, the next day it's a lot harder for me to get up and do it again the very next
But
day.
the problem is you feel good while you're eating it. So that repetitive understanding of I'm gonna eat this pizza, I'm gonna feel great, is a terrible habit to have.
I know this is not the topic, but I think food addiction is a real thing. And I think you just spoke
absolutely.
to that because I think you're addicted to that feeling you get while you're eating it. But my God, is it short-lived?
Sugar's more addictive than cocaine.
What?
Yeah.
It is.
I did not know
But
that.
it's in everything now. And again, we spoke about how they infuse high sugars into your low-fat products, and they trick you. It's the market. It's marketing. I mean, we're selling lemons out there, right? I'm trying to find more lemonade.
What's the conversion rate for sugars converting to fat? How's that work? I know a lot of people say, things in high sugar obviously converts to fat eventually, but what are some good sugars and bad sugars that,
Well,
okay.
like we spoke about before, and I think you chime in on this, but associating high fibers with your sugars, so it just depends on what the content is. So ideally, how people break down sugars, how people break down fat, their sensitivity to carbohydrates to begin with is a huge concept too. So that's the other thing, is that we try to go on statistics and we try to go on numbers game, but the idea is finding out an individualization.
So can I test my baby?
Of course you can.
Should I?
Yeah, three we recommend.
definitely.
We recommend 2 and above,
Really?
just based on gut enzymes as well.
Nice.
A little bit about school, because we spoke about children and preparedness, and we spoke about the parents also, pregnancy. Let's get back to that. And we'll go into school afterwards, sorry. But going into pregnancy, how important is it for women especially to eat healthy, and also men to provide that atmosphere of associating with it? Because I feel like if a guy's eating a hamburger all day, a woman's going to say, oh, well, let me have this salad. No, it's going to be that atmosphere. I feel like it's a relationship decision too. So how important is that for children?
It's extremely important. I don't know if you spoke about epigenetics earlier.
I mentioned it, but you're
Can you
the man.
clarify that? Because I don't know what epigenetics is.
Right. It's a new field of study where basically the toxins and the foods that you put in your body from the outside environment affect the way your genes are expressed.
Wow.
It's not gene mutation, but it changes gene expression, so it can turn on and off a gene, which can affect your metabolism.
Well, yeah, I mean, obesity and leptin. We were talking about leptin,
Exactly.
the obesity gene, which they call it. And ideally, leptin occurs when you have more fat until a certain time, or a certain level of fat, and then you cause resistance. Leptin actually is your satiety gene, so it tells your body when you're full or when you're satisfied with your consumption. But when you have resistance to that, then how do you know when to stop? And that's one of those epigenetic genes that we're speaking about here.
Right. So when a woman is pregnant, it can affect her fetus during the pregnancy, the way she eats. So that's why it's so important for pregnant women to eat healthy and to have all the vitamins, nutrients.
Reduction of childhood obesity, food allergies, how important that is now.
So there's a correlation between what you put in while you're pregnant to childhood obesity?
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing is, what we hear all the time about don't drink alcohol and take your prenatal vitamins.
Right.
What else?
Well, I did my research. Again, I waited till 40 to have my baby. So I was really aware, and I did my own research, but I was blown away by the fact that my OBGYN, and again, not naming names, never really mentioned diet. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you just said, take your folic acid and, just go on with the rest of your life the way you normally would. And I'm like thinking, oh no, I need to clean up my act. And
I wish pregnancy was that easy, right?
Yeah, right. All right, well, guys, I think we're running out of time. So I just want to thank Dr. Marcus Fulmer again. And this segment with Dr. Fulmer was brought to you by Workout Your Wealth, promoting healthier and wealthier living through sound financial and wellness services.
And welcome back to our takeaway section. I'm going to start off with Doctor's Lowdown. And it's something I wanted to speak about because I'm tired of hearing about it. I would say is the gluten allergy that everybody seems to have these days. And, I just am really not understanding where people are getting the information from. Like I said last show, is show me the science. Show me that you're allergic to gluten. Now, I understand that things can cause bloating, but let's be honest. You eat a sandwich, right? Okay, what do you have right inside? Let's say we have avocado, we have turkey, we have lettuce, and we put a little mayonnaise. Okay, it sounds like a healthier version of a sandwich. What if you found out that you were sensitive to avocados because they're high in histamines?
And nobody would ever.
But you're like, when I eat a sandwich. What if you were sensitive to turkey? And you didn't realize it, but you thought turkey and avocado, well, those are your healthy foods in that healthy cloud that we consume in our minds. The idea is that at least, I would say 50, because I'm being conservative here, 50% of the people that we test for, they don't have any gluten sensitivities at all. It's actually on their A-list to eat when it comes to their reports. So, again, show me the science. And really find out who you are. Don't listen to these fads again. That's my doctor's
That's
Wow,
a good
I like that. All right, for today's Tony's takeaway, I want you guys to do nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
You just gave up all
hope. For 5 minutes before you get into your workout, I just want you to take yourself to a place. I want you to meditate. I want you to think positive thoughts. When you think positive thoughts, it adds more productivity to your workout. You will be more energetic. I'm going to give you a true situation. My nephews are out there right now, and they're scared right now because we're going to be working out after this. When they come and visit me, I make sure they're on a tight regimen. They laughed at me yesterday when they saw me on the track during this hot, humid day in Miami, and I did my 5 minutes, getting my mind together. I'm like, look, relax. I'm getting my mind together. You guys can join me if you like, laughing, kiki, and everybody having a good old time. We get to do our sprints. I start the sprints off. I mean, I'm in shape, and I take care of my body. They do too. But the difference is their mentality during the sprints immediately was affected. After the first 3 sprints, they started grabbing their shorts. And I was just smiling. And they were like, why do you have so much energy right now? I said, you know what? I was thinking productivity beforehand. I put myself in a good place. So take 5 minutes before you get into your stretch. Just go to a happy place. Smile. Can I going.
Ask, because I'm sorry to cut anybody off, but the idea is, we talk about this in the healthcare industry about how meditation is actually studied.
Yeah.
Can you? And when people hear meditation, though, they think holistic, homeopathic, or something like that they're scared of.
Right.
Can you just key in? Meditation is senses, thinking about your senses. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like senses like eyes,
ears,
everything.
Hearing. Okay, got it.
Think knowing your body is one.
All right, I'm going to give you a quick Karen's concept. I go back to that special needs trust that I addressed. A lot of people don't realize that you must plan carefully if you have a child or a loved one with a disability, because you could jeopardize their ability to receive Social Security income and help from the government if you don't plan correctly. So talk to an estate planning attorney. Look into something called a special needs trust. It may be right for you. I am not an attorney. Consult one. All right. Well, I just want to thank again our wonderful guest, Dr. Marcus Fulmer.
Yes, and again, follow us at blueprintradioshow.com where you can find all our links, our previous shows, and you can watch us. We're on, you could watch us Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And thank you again to Tamarina, Amp Squared, Intuit Media Group, Genobic, Work Out Your Wealth, Matthew Zakowski, Attorney at Law, and of course, Mass Mutual Miami, as well as our newest sponsor that we brought on recently, David Kurse, and we love him.
Stick around for my fitness tips. They're going to be great.
Yes, they will be.
Hey, this is Tony's tip from the Blueprint Radio Show. Today we're going to be talking about planks. Planks that you can do in the gym, at home, while at work. All right, we're not just going to be doing any old plank. We're going to be doing different variations that you can practice and exercise to perfect. All right, the first one is your traditional half plank. We're going to get down into plank position. Elbows are firmly on the ground. Hands are flat. Abs are nice and tight and tucked. Back is flat, and we're holding. We're gonna hold this for 20 to 30 seconds. That's what a natural traditional plank would look like. Then we're gonna get into a full plank. This is actually allowing your serratus anterior to work now. You're keeping your abs tight. Try to get that belly button as close to the spine as possible. That's what you should be envisioning in your head. From here, we can go to a palms to elbow, working it up and down, engaging your obliques and your core. And then finally, we have our ballistic plank. Ballistic planks is a constant tension exercise, allowing you to be in isometric contraction while working those abdominals. So that's the Tony's tip of the day from Blueprint Radio. Hopefully it helped you get results today, guys.